We have no business to compare ourselves to other people's timelines because we have no idea what lessons they actually haven't mastered yet. You are always attracting energy into your life. The question is, what can you be mindful about attracting? I'm Shannon Bills, mindset mentor, energy healer, and intuitive reader. And today, we're having mindfulness for breakfast. Good morning. Let's give ourselves permission to let life look different than we expected. That is the message that has been coming up for me. It really started earlier this week. I was working with somebody who was in her feels, was having a breakdown, and this sounds a little messed up, but I mean it in the best way. I love when clients cry. I love it because it is one of the best forms of release. It has been something that has been stored in your body and just flew out in the space that I provided for them. And like that to me is the biggest honor. But that aside, I was working with a student and she was just having a day of being in her feels. And when I have days where I'm letting my ego get the best of me, I call it my pity party. I'm like, okay, you are allowed to complain. You are allowed to be a victim. You are allowed to say all the things that are bothering you, that you hold bitterness around, but then release it. Let it go, right? Like I allow myself 24 hours to have my pity party, or at least I try. That is the goal. That is the hope. And so she was having her pity party. She's an actor. I work with a lot of actors just from my background in casting, and she was really frustrated with where she is in life. And it's funny because she's in her mid-20s, and I didn't even have this business in my mid-20s. My husband was in career number 2 of 3 in his mid-20s. So I always have to giggle for my clients that are under the age of 30 just because there's so much life ahead of them, and there's so much life ahead of you if you're over 30 or if you're over 40 or if you're over 50. Like that is how I live. I think life gets better and better, and I think we can explore anything at any point in time. I think that's the point of life, is exploring different things. But she was just frustrated. Verbatim, her words were, I thought that I would accomplish bigger things by this point in my life. And that brought up some memories in me that I have healed from. I remember back to like middle school having sleepovers with friends, and I don't know if you grew up in a town where Sweet 16s were big. They were very big on Long Island. That's where I'm from. And I remember specifically being at a sleepover and friends talking about which candle each girl was going to get, because that was the thing. At the 16th birthday party, a candle was dedicated to their best friend or the person that meant the most to them. And gosh, wow, this is bringing up some memories in real time. Back then, we were always planning what was ahead. And that was when we were 12, we were planning what we were going to do at 16 and who were going to be our best friends and where the Sweet 16 was going to be and who we were going to date. And then in high school, you're planning, where you want to go to school. And then in college, you're planning what you want to be when you grow up. And we think that at that time, it holds all the weight in the world, that is what is in the cards. That is what is destined for us. My 18-year-old self thought that at 30, I would have a house or own a house and be on kid maybe number 1 or number 2. And that is always just what I thought. I think so many people are living life in that way, thinking, gosh, like I thought things would be different. I thought my life would look different. And I'm guilty of complaining about that too. I've gotten a little better about it over the years. But when I was talking to this specific client, I said, why can't you give yourself permission to let life look differently? And she replied back being like, I just feel like I didn't accomplish anything big yet. And so I said, okay. I gave her an exercise around going back 5 years ago. So we want to prove to the subconscious mind, hey, we have been accomplishing things. We have been working our way up the ladder. That's another little thought I want to go on right now. Working our way up a ladder, the ladder of life, the ladder of our journey. There are those exceptions and not the rule where we see them seamlessly getting everything they desire very quickly. or at a young age. Like I have clients that went from small followings to millions of followers, but yet their self-worth is something they are still mastering. I have clients that got the dream career and got the house, but can't find the love in themselves or their relationships. So everybody's timeline looks different, and we have no business to compare ourselves to other people's timelines because we have no idea what lessons they actually haven't mastered yet. Our human selves are going to look at everyone's ladders going, well, they are ahead. They're further along than I am, or they have this thing that I want. I want you to stop that thought in its tracks because they have just as many soul lessons to master in this life as you, and it's just looking a little differently. So I think we're going along that theme of things looking a little differently. And I do think there are steps to building our dream life. We can't just jump to the top of the ladder. Like, how would we actually master lessons? How would we actually be grateful when we're at the top? Like, I don't even think you can find gratitude because you have nothing to compare it to. Polarity has to exist. For every good, there's bad. For every bad, there's good. For every hard work, there's easy work, and vice versa. And so we need that. Like, that is building a stronger you and a more solid foundation. And we're working our way up the ladder. That's one thought. The other thought, going back to my student who was saying she thought she'd accomplished bigger things by now. And I stopped her and I said, but what big things have you accomplished? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, let's go back 5 years. 5 years ago, did you have an apartment that you paid for on your own? No, I didn't. Okay, 5 years ago, did you have a boyfriend that you were in love with? No, I didn't. Okay, 5 years ago, did you ever have any set experience? Because again, she's an actor. No, I didn't. Okay. Those are 3 things we just named that gave you so much growth. There's so many big accomplishments throughout those 5 years that you just brushed under the rug and said, yep, nothing happened. I'm not where I want to be. I'm not the biggest fan of saying, look back at the past, because I really don't think the past defines us. The way I operate in my coaching and in my messaging and my mindset is we only have now and where we want to be. So I don't really care what happened in the past. Now, all that being said, that's not me being insensitive. I think the past is important, but we can release it. It doesn't have to be a part of the story of where we're going. But in this case, I want to talk about the past because the only time I really connect to the past is when I'm in one of my feels of nothing's happening for me. I'm not where I want to be. I can look back 5 years ago and say, well, I wasn't married 5 years ago. I didn't have this beautiful apartment 5 years ago. I didn't have a business 5 years ago. I didn't make my own money working for myself 5 years ago. I didn't have insanely high level intuition 5 years ago. And here I am now with all of those things. I think that's so beautiful. We can easily shut the ego down, shut the ego up, cancel the pity party. It lifts our frequency going, oh my gosh, wait, it is working. There is proof. Remember, subconscious mind loves proof. There is proof that I am on the right track. There is proof that growth is happening. We have to give ourselves permission to let life look different. Maybe growth isn't the big things that I thought when I was 18, owning the house and having the kids by 30, having a savings account. Like I fully didn't think that would be a thing. But I'm not going to fight that, right? I'm going to trust that all of this growth, like looking at the invisible string that has been tying everything together, is part of a massive plan for me and is part of a massive plan for you. So if you are in your feels and having a moment of saying, I thought I would accomplish things by now, you did, you have, you are. So the tool for today, I would love for you to do a little reflection on the last 5 years, the last 10 years, the last 20. I'll let you decide. Let your intuition guide you to how many years back you want to go, and prove to yourself all of the growth, all the different forms that it came in, was supporting you. The universe is always supporting you. It's always leading you to the next thing. So I invite you to do that today, and hopefully that shifts your frequency, your mood, and let me know how it goes.